Enzo Bivona is an associate professor in business management at the University of Palermo. He has a PhD in business administration from the University of Catania and a Master of Philosophy in System Dynamics from Bergen University in Norway. He's co-organizer of the System Dynamics Society Transportation Special Interest Group. Professor Bivona's work focuses on performance management and policy design in small and medium enterprises. He uses the system dynamics methodology to build simulation models to support decision makers to test and implement sustainable long-term strategies. More recently, he investigated online multi-sided platforms and business model innovations in SMEs. His research has been published in leading management journals such as the System Dynamics Review, the Journal of Business Research, the Journal of Modeling in Management, Systems Research and Behavioral Science, as well as the British Food Journal. That's an interesting one. He is author of 2 books on how to design and introduce management control systems in organizations to influence the management and governance of such firms, as well as to ultimately support and advance their performance. Thank you. You have about 40 minutes to present and 5 minutes for questions for Q&A. I see your presentation coming up. Perfect, it's on. We can just test your sound. I think you're muted still. I think you're still muted.
Okay, sorry, thank you. So, can you hear me?
We can hear you, see you, and your presentation. All good.
Perfect.
You can go for it.
Perfect, very good. Thank you very much. So first of all, let me thank you for this kind invitation. I'm very pleased to be with you today and presenting this work, which I'm conducting with some colleague here at University of Palermo. So I will try to engage you in this presentation and I hope also to inspire you for your future work. So here the topic of my presentation is to use system dynamics modeling to improve the performance of online food delivery platform and prevent their failure. So here it is the agenda of today's presentation. So I will briefly introduce and the aim of this research, also the background, which is important to clarify in which context I developed this research. I will explain you very soon the research methodology. So the steps I follow in order to build this study, and the case study analysis and simulation results will be shown as well. This is just to tell you that the analysis that I will present, the study I will present, is based on a case study, which is a food delivery platform, which I will introduce soon. Then some conclusion, and I hope we have also some key and answer debate at the end of my presentation, and I will try to stay on time. So what's the so sorry for this. So part of the study has been recently published in the International Journal of Productivity and Performance Management. So if you want to know more about this research, just contact me and I will send you this paper. So the topic around which this research is developed is concerns performance management, and particularly here what I do suggest is to combine performance management and system dynamics to support the decision maker in improving the performance of digital platforms such as the online food delivery platform. And in doing so, what I try to combine is the system dynamics methodology with the performance management framework, just to support both scholars and practitioners in order to improve the performance of food delivery digital platforms. So, and when I add the value that of this innovative perspective can offer is the ability to identify and make explicit the interdependencies between the different mechanisms that drive the performance of such organization. Just to make clear, when I do refer to food delivery platform, I do refer to those digital firms that are very well diffused around the world to support restaurants and shops that prepare food to deliver such a food to customers. And we have multiple examples like Just Eat, Deliveroo, of Uber Eats, and so on. The context, I said before, the background in which I developed this research, it is important to clarify, because very often, although there is a really need by scholars in performance measurement and management area to develop more enriched performance measurement system to support digital firms. This is not really the case. In fact, observing the literature, what we observe is that very often such systems they show some multiple drawbacks. First of all, they very often use a static perspective on a side, and on the other side they neglect the interrelationship between performance drivers and the firm results. Where performance drivers is a key concept, in particular on performance measurement and management system, which are intermediate performance measures, which impact on the final performance of the organization. As such, drivers are important because are strongly linked with the critical success factor of a company. So, which are those factors that allow the company to perform better than competitors if they are able to do that. So, and can help firms to keep and maintain a competitive advantage over time. So, in this study, I do suggest to use a dynamic performance management framework, which, as I said before, combines system dynamics with traditional performance management framework. And this is a very good way to introduce and apply system dynamics in performance management context. So to bridge also a connection, to make a connection with experts in the field of performance management that are looking for more dynamic, flexible tools to gauge the performance of innovative firms such as the online food delivery platform. So let me introduce you on how to combine this performance management framework with the system dynamics. So in performance management, there are some key concepts that are not far from some key, for instance, key variables we use in system dynamics. I do refer specifically to strategic resources. But in performance management, other variables are considered as well, like end results, which are we can say like the final performance of the organization. And between the strategic resources and the end results are identify the performance drivers, which are important to focus because they result of the impact of the strategic resources on a side, but on the other side are those variables that have a direct effect on end results. So in other words, if you change the strategic resource, you may do not observe an immediate change in end results. And the reason is because you need to impact first on performance driver. So it is important to identify the right performance driver in order to improve the performance of the organization. So combining the performance management logic with system dynamics, we can see some here on the right hand side of the slides, the way how this match can be done. So when we talk about strategic resources in also in system dynamics, we immediately refer to stock variables, which we know that change through flow variable as well. As I said before, in performance management, it is important to identify, first of all, the end result. So the performance measures. So the performance measure through which you want to gauge the success of the firm or the goal you want to set in order to have a successful firm. So once you identify the end results, the final performance of the organization, the next question, how to improve the performance. And as I said before, you need to identify the performance driver, intermediate result that can impact on end result. And then the next question is, how can I change the performance driver? And the answer is through strategic resources. So in order to clarify this chain of relationship, let me make you an example. So a typical example of strategic resources as, for instance, let's assume the production capacity, human resources. Performance driver can be, for instance, delivery time, or time to launch a given product in the market, and end results can be the new customer the company is able to gain, to win, or the sales revenue on the recorded by a firm. So if you want to change the sales revenue of a firm, you need to understand what are the performance drivers that can impact on the on such end result. And let's assume that is the delivery time. Then the question is, how can I change the delivery time? Can I change directly the delivery time? The answer is no. You need to identify the strategic resources that can impact on such driver, so that that allow the company to improve the end results. So this chain of relationship can guide decision maker in order to identify the right strategic resource that impact on performance driver and the end result. So let's move to the food delivery platform. And as I said before in my introduction, there are many examples, many firms that we probably have used many times, and we continues to use, which also recorded a strong development due to the COVID-19 pandemic observed in the last few years. So what is the role of a food delivery platform? So basically, this firm collect orders and payments from customers and assign meal orders to restaurants, and then restaurants they prepare the ordered meals that and the order is shipped directly from the restaurant or through using an external delivery system like carriers or by carrier and so on. So. And one key important concept that we need to keep in mind concerning the online food delivery platform is that in order to be a successful platform, you need to build at the same time both sides of the platform. When I do refer to both sides, I do refer to customers and, for instance, in this case, restaurants. So if you have if the platform is able to build only one side of the platform, like customers, and there are a few restaurants. So customer will be attracted at the beginning, but when they discover that there are a few restaurants, they will leave the platform because the platform does not offer a great value for them. And vice versa. So if the platform is able to attract more restaurants than customers, then the restaurant will leave the platform because they do not find enough customers. So it is very important for the platform to balance this growth of both sides. And what is observed in the literature, in reality, indeed, I will say, is that in spite of the fact that this company are able to build very quickly a massive community, at the same time, in a very fast way, they may go to bankruptcy, they may fail because of this imbalance. They can build on a side, one side of the platform, but they are not able to build the other side. So, and as I said before, one of these users will leave the platform. Let me just give you a few concepts about the methodology, because I think it is important to understand in the system dynamics field how to use the models that we build when we interact with the firm in order to also make robust on a side the study and to publish such a study. If we were interested to do that. So basically, I follow the classical steps, so literature review. In this study, I focus on adopt a retrospective case study. So I identify a company that failed in managing this growth path, because I was interested in understanding what are the causes and how the use of system dynamics modeling combined with performance management can help decision maker to avoid such a failure. And I collect the primary and secondary data in order to build the dynamic performance management framework that I showed you before as a logic and the system dynamics model. And that I particularly make a strong use of the Kim and Anderson framework that I strongly invite you to consult if you do not have the chance before, because it's a very interesting, very useful framework divided in 5 interactive steps that guide you from the identification of the dominant teams, how such teams are interrelated, building the stock and flow variable, building one main causal loop, and in particular the point 5 is very important to validate your causal effect analysis through collected data. So it is important to match the reasoning of the causal loop diagram with the data. So this makes your study more robust and more valid. So let's go to the case study. As I said before, I intentionally select a company that failed in offering this online food delivery services, and I among a sample of company and select a company that's called Take It Easy, fast-growing digital food delivery platform. Operating at the beginning in Belgium and then expanded internationally in other European countries. The distinctive factor of this company is that they offer a service not in general to restaurants, but they select the premium restaurants which do not often use the service of delivery. And they develop a very sophisticated and reliable food delivery service using very advanced electronic dispatching system, which were really some distinctive factors for this company, which allow the company to really record in a very short period of time a great success. The company was able to secure 2 rounds of funds, in total of 16 million euro, resources that were invested aggressively in marketing, IT, HR, and to expand in 3 main countries, so France, UK, and Spain. So the company recorded a very fast success, I would say, in terms of customers, restaurants, as well as in terms of human resources. And however, in spite of this strong growth, the company in less than 3 years was forced to cease operations. One of the reasons because the company was running in a loss and was not able to produce any profit, and venture capitalists, they were not willing to invest more in this firm. So, and then start the question, why has happened? So why the company was able to get some big amount of money and was not able to convert such investment in a profitable venture. So, as I said before, I combine system dynamics with the performance management framework, so-called dynamic performance management. And here in the bottom of the slide, you see some end results, but this is not the full picture of the model, but just an excerpt, just to give you a flavor, where you can see as end results like new restaurants or new customer, new restaurants on the left-hand side and the new customer on the right-hand side. And there are also some financial variables like sales revenue, net income, or cash flow. So the question is how can we change such end results, such end performance of the organization? So we need to look at the performance driver. And here in this study, in the information acquired, there are few variables that play a really important role. One of these is the platform attractiveness, which also is affected by other key performance drivers, like platform usability, rather than orders per city or delivery delay or restaurant per city. And then the next question is how it is possible to improve the platform attractiveness or the number of restaurants per city or the platform usability or even the orders per city. So we need to go on top of this framework and to identify the strategic resources. And here you see how this map, this framework allow you to visualize this chain of relationship and to identify if you want to change some end results. You need to go back and on top of this figure, the framework, to identify which variable you need to act on in order to improve the performance of the organization. And here through this map, you can also identify some reinforcing loop or balancing loop that for simplicity, I did not report in the picture, but you will also find this in the full paper. So once about the dynamic performance management that you saw before in the previous slide about this system dynamics model, so simulation model to run some scenarios. So first of all, I run I insert the past decisions in order to replicate the past behavior, so the failure of the firm, and then I use the model to identify 3 alternative scenarios. And the main difference between these 3 additional scenarios and the base run is that rather than adopting a very aggressive policy to invest in marketing, human resource, and technology, I try to reduce such a level of investments and also to adopt a more, let's say, conservative strategy in order to open new stores in new cities. Because this is important to understand in this platform logic, because very often the logic behind such a platform is that once you are able to build a community, then you can use this large community as a competitive advantage compared to other firms. So it is important to enter first in the market and to build such a community before other competitors. However, in the food delivery segment industry, once you move from one city to another, from one country to another, you need to start this phenomenon again and again, because you cannot make any advantage from your previous customer base, because you need to prepare the food in France in order to deliver the food in France. You cannot use your platform that built in France to deliver the food in UK or in Spain and so on. So there is what is called a chicken egg phenomenon that you need to solve each time. In order to build this community, you need to invest massively in marketing and to attract a new customer. So the difference between the 3 scenarios, so scenario 1, 2, and 3, is that they have the same moderate investment, but they have a different path in terms of number of cities. So first scenario reaches 7 cities, scenario 2, 9, scenario 3, 10, rather than the 20 implemented by the firm. So let's have a look at the simulation results. So first of all, let me explain you that the blue line, so the blue line refers to the base run, which is the past results. As you can see on the first line on top of the graphs, the performance seems very good in terms of restaurants, cities, and customers. But if we move down from strategic resource to performance driver and end results, you see that in spite the higher level of annual sales revenues, which is the left-hand side down in the corner graph, which show the higher annual sales revenue in a base run scenario. If we move on the right-hand side, at the bottom of this picture, you see that earning before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization is always below 0, so it's negative, as well as net income, corner right-hand side. So that's the reason why the company failed, and the CEO was forced to stop operations. Let's move now to the 3 scenarios. So scenario 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, the scenario that showed the better performance is scenario 2, the dotted line, the pink dotted line. Let's try to understand why. let's try to explain why. And if we look at specifically on the look at the strategic resources, we see that this restaurant left-hand side and customers are higher than the scenario 1 and scenario 3, first of all, although the number of cities is very similar. And if we move down to the performance driver, we may observe that the platform attractiveness is lower than the other two scenarios. And platform attractiveness is the graph in the center of the picture. But if we move in the center line, right-hand side, and we focus on the orders per city, we see that the orders per city has a higher value compared to scenario 1 and scenario 3, which in turn generates a higher annual sales revenue. You can see this behavior in the bottom of the picture, which also allow the company to record a positive net income. So in other words, if we look at the relationship between strategic resources, performance driver, and results, we can understand why the company is performing in such a way. And that this is a chain of relationship can help decision maker to understand how to, in which areas to invest, in which strategic resources to focus their attention in order to improve the performance of the organization. So, and these results can be also appreciated in terms of figures. In fact, in this table, we can see that the balanced strategy, which is named here as scenario 2, although the platform attractiveness is lower than the other scenarios, in scenario 2, we can observe a higher number of customers compared to scenario 1, scenario 3, and the higher number of orders per city compared to the other, the full other scenarios. And the scenario 2 is the only one with a positive financial result as well, which would have allowed the company to also secure a third round of fund provided by the venture capitalist. So, in conclusion, the case study analysis demonstrate that if we combine performance measurement system with system dynamics, it's possible to design and implement proper measures that can help decision maker to monitoring time to time the performance of the organization and to identify those areas in which to intervene if it is required. Of course, this can help them to learn how to avoid failure and to plan in advance intervention in order to build a more sustainable business. What we also learn here is that the system dynamics once more, I would say, can be a very powerful tool in order to train students and will be entrepreneurs, for instance, in order to make them in the position to manage a complex and dynamic business such as the online food delivery platform, and in order to let's say, in order to be more prepared if they wish to launch this firm in the future, what are the main challenges they had to face in the future. So Thanks for your attention, and I like this cartoon. Credits to Cartoon Stock. Or say so. Systematics is not really a crystal ball, and this nice picture to show this, but it can really helpful in order to figure out multiple scenarios to help decision maker to identify a proper way to intervene in managing a business. So thank you for your attention, and I'm open to question.
Thanks a lot, Enzo. That was absolutely fantastic. Before we take questions from the floor, I just want to ask you one.
Sure.
Were there any key performance factors where there was a very long time delay before you noticed an improvement in terms of the performance? So you changed that key performance factor, and then over a very long time, there was this time delay before you actually found the performance actually increased, and if so, what was that?
So first of all, thank you for your question. The time delay represented in the graphs, first of all, are in months. So 30 displayed in the picture were shown in months, and indeed I introduced some delays taken from the information that I discovered, and indeed. It is more complex to answer your question with a specific delay, because there are multiple indeed delays in the cause and effect relationship, not only on the ability of the firm to acquire new customers, but also on the ability of the firm to acquire new restaurants, which are the two drivers, let's say, the two key strategic resources, specifically, I would say, in order to build the platform attractiveness. So indeed, there are multiples the delays. If you ask me what are the most important, I really cannot answer your question with one single variable, but I can say that those delays that they impact the most on the performance are related to the ability of the firm to acquire customers on the side and restaurants on the other side.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you. I see we have a question from Andres. Andres, you can ask your question.
Yeah, so I think part of it is just a comment. And if we look at South Africa, we have a grocery chain that's had a delivery service for many years, but it was really very low key. And then when COVID came along, one of its competitor chains basically created an app and a service within the first month of lockdown. And they basically took over the market, and suddenly there's a huge competition for that market. Did you see something similar with the food delivery? Because again, in South Africa, during COVID, there were tons of restaurants that previously had a very low app type footprint, suddenly created these apps and delivery services and everything to go with that. Did you see something similar in Italy?
Anders, thank you for your question. Yes, indeed. I would say that this phenomenon is widely diffused indeed. Recently, one of these giant which enter in particular in my region during the lockdown, just recently, both they decide to buy another delivery platform operating in the same territory. So because it is hard to, although there is a space for few of them. So when they become multiple, then they need to, in order to grow, if they want to grow, they need to acquire each other. Otherwise, the low margin that they are able to make for each single delivery, they will not allow you to be sustainable. That's the reason why we observe this policy that once a giant enter in the market, they try to identify the smaller one and try to buy one by one. Because in my opinion, but this is my opinion, although there might be space for some of them, not for so many, because of the teeny margin that they make for each single delivery, and because they need to make a service, they need to pay also the carrier, and although the cost is very low, still it is still a cost.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right, thanks. Thank you, Andries, for that. Are there any other comments? I don't see any comments on the chat or any other questions. Okay, I'll ask another question. In terms of qualitative or soft variables like perception, did you guys consider things like that as influencing factors that ultimately impact your customer satisfaction, and then the what do you call it, the whether customers will actually want to then buy from certain online restaurants, if you know what I mean?
In terms of, you mean what kind of soft variable did I use in the model? So basically, I would say there are two main phenomena. First of all, is related to the platform usability, so which was identified also in this case as a key driver in order to attract the user. So if the platform is easy to use, very interactive, very immediate, then it's a way to attract the user. So this on one side. On the other side is the ability of the platform to be transparent in terms of delivery time. So this is another factor that if the platform offer to the user the ability to track the order and see how long does it take. This is let's say a soft variable that let's say quality issue that can attract the customers, and is a key variable in order to make the order. So I'm really more prone to make order if I really know how long does it take from my order to my door, the meal that I ordered.
Okay, great. Looks like an amazing model, and certainly something that I think was required in that case to try and understand. This is the new example I think we could use, as opposed to the Club of Rome dilemma that Forrester actually had to deal with and try and get to solve that, as well as the GE problem. So it's great to see it in application. Anyone else before we end here? Okay, I think that's it. And thanks once again for making yourself available. Oh, we have one more. We have one more from Corne. Corne, you can go for it.
Thanks, Lady. Just a quick one, maybe. Do you think self-driving cars in future might actually escalate this business by making deliveries automated without people?
So again, I didn't hear very well the initial part of the question. Sorry for that. Say again.
Sorry, is self-driving cars? So the technology where cars might actually be self-driving.
Yeah.
Would that impact the business?
That's good. Good question. frankly, I'm not able to answer. I don't know. Probably yes, but I didn't figure out how this phenomenon can impact on the delivery of the food. So probably this will impact on the delivery of food and other products in general, and as a consequence, also this area. But if you ask me if I do have an idea, my answer at this time, not at all. So I guess so, but I'm really, I do not have idea.
Thanks,
Thanks
Enzo.
for asking. So, and then if you want to know more about this study, just please contact me, and then I'm pleased to send you the presentation and the paper which synthesized the work that have been done so far. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks a lot, Enzo, and have a fantastic day further. Yeah, we really appreciate the time that you've taken to actually support our conference.